Good morning, guys. It's Black Spring with Autumn on your Monday, and it is December the 22nd, and it is 2025. And I just have to be careful because I am this close to saying 2026. And you guys know we're not quite there. We're on the edge. We're on the very edge of 2026. So I just want to say, I'm just coming in just for a little bit. It's kind of be like, I had some ideas that came to me towards the end of last night, like after I got off last night. And I know I was trying not to get too, I was trying not to get too spread. And I know I was having a little bit too much fun. I was having a little bit too much fun talking about, dare I say, the Hunger Games, or dare I say, the classics. I talked about Barry Strauss, and I was talking about Susan Collins, and then eventually I ended up talking about Shirley Jackson. And so, it's getting a little bit overzealous about what I was talking about yesterday. So, good morning, John Roberts. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. So, but yeah, I just think that I've had a chance to go back and look at knoxnews.com, and that is where I'm able to see that there's an entire itinerary. This is not just limited to a quote Patriot Games. It starts December 31st. And shout out to all you gematria people, because you guys are gonna have a field day. Um, you guys are gonna have a field day. So allegedly, there's an entire itinerary out there. Maybe we'll get into it a little bit, but I always make a lot of references to America, being somewhere between an ancient Rome 2.0, or um, like the empire. I kind of end up going there. And so yeah, so there's an entire itinerary that starts for the Freedom 250, and I did a little bit of research on that, and I think you guys might be interested to find out the fact that this is like a kind of a it's a government sponsored situation. And I find that to be, I think that's unprecedented to begin with. Okay. So it's like, yeah, it's like, to me, it's a whole smorgasbord of things that we haven't seen before. But you've got, and I'll get into it in just a second. Then I stumbled on to some other things. I stumbled onto some things about, I did watch The Officer Tatum at, what was it, Amfest. I did manage to watch his speech. And at the very end, he's doing exactly, this is why people are referring to them as the scary Christo fascist, is because they will take you to the edge of their political ideology, and then they'll sneak right in. Um, they'll sneak in their glaze on God or Christ and the whole 9 yards. Let me just say hi to everybody in the stream. Some people are probably gonna, no flying monkeys today, guys. No, 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 no. No flying monkeys allowed. Okay, we don't need that. Okay, John Roberts, thank you so much for coming in. And it's Simone Watchman. Thank you guys for loving on the like button. Like right now, I'm seeing that we have 6 people tuned in, and we got one of these. So I hate to say it, get the likes up. Get the likes up. I hate to say that, but I guess I'm gonna have to start doing that. Let's see, let's back it up just for a second here. So let's say hi. Of course, John Roberts. Anthony Harris 3734. Thank you so much for coming in. You're most generous. I'm just trying to it needs a little extra attention, but it's okay. It could be worse, right? It could be worse. But thank you so much. A little bit frizzy right now. But let's see, who else do we have here? Elmil Me 4397. And then Awian. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not nailing all of those correctly, but I really appreciate it. But yeah, so I came in last night, And yeah, I was talking last night about the whole Patriot game slash, and I said, we can't leave that. There's no way. I'm going to go a little bit further than that. I'm always going to go. We're not going around here. It's like, this is right in my, you guys are in, it's right up my alley. You talk about, we're going to start doing references to the classics and doing references to these other authors. Let's do it. Let's go all the way. Okay. So yeah, last night, this is kind of a short little recap. We talked about, that there's Susan Collins, The Hunger Games, of course, but then the whole thing about mythology, it kind of recurs because, the patterns they're enduring because these patterns just keep repeating. And then I said there's this whole rite of passage, but I'm just thinking that the rite of passage doesn't really occur. It doesn't really appeal to this generation of, people. Thank you guys. You guys are most generous. Uh, Thank you so much. So yeah, but what guys, go back and watch. You might want to go back and watch because I didn't mean to get too spread last night. But what I want to talk about, this thing is dripping. The schedule, it goes for all the way from December of 31st until there's got to be dripping with symbolism. December 31st, 2025 through January 5th of 2026. The Washington Monument will be illuminated, for example, okay? And then from that, it goes all the way into the fall. And that's why I said, okay, we're talking about fall. When I think about fall, I'm thinking about fall harvest. So then that's when I said, we're talking Shirley Jackson right now. To me, this feels more like the lottery in which, something is, something, this is a harvest season and they need to purge the bad omen, or what in the world are we, what are we trying to do here? Is there a purge coming in 2026? What in the world are we going to do with all this symbolism and all of this, and with all of these, I'm just also wondering, that kind of brings me into today's topic. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Derek C. Williams is here. Thank you guys for loving on the like button. Like I said, if you want to throw caution to the wind, you can share, you can like, share, you can subscribe. I hate to say, do all of that, whatever you can do. But the most caution that you can throw to the wind is probably when you do that share. When you hit that share button, you really just you really end up going up. You can fly in the zone, any zone you want. You can touch any zone you want. Okay. Chris Anderson 3297 says, literally hopping on everyone's live saying Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Okay. That's okay. If you're celebrating, if you're, but yeah. So, but yeah, fall of 2026, that's what made me think about, that fall has a whole nother week for us to go from December 31st, from New Year's Eve to the fall of 2026, which that's the only part of this. They did not give a date. They didn't give a specific date, which I find that to be interesting. Is why I think that, are we looking at something that's more of a, I don't know. I'm just thinking here. Let me go to where I want to go today. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Thank you so much for coming in. So I'm thinking with the amount of theme symbolism, that are we honoring Apollo? Because when you guys think about it, when you think about the classics, when you think about mythology, you don't have the Olympics honor, whether people want to believe it or not, or whether they agree with it or not. They're actually honoring the god Olympus. They are. So to me, when we get into this harvest kind of situation, and I'm thinking about Shirley Jackson and Good Harvest in the name of the lottery, and that's a horror fiction in the genre. But are we with the fall athletics? A lot of that is honoring an actual, you're honoring an actual God. And I've heard that Trump has quite a bit of, I hear that he's actually quite obsessed with Apollo, that there's a lot of things surrounding him that's associated with Apollo. So I'm saying, are we honoring Apollo with this summer/fall athletic events under the auspices of a nonpartisan government coalition called freedom250.org? Is that what this is? Come on, America. You gotta wake up, you know. You guys, I don't know. You gotta wake it on up. They also refer to this as the Pythian Games. And if you say it's nonpartisan, there's about 20 organizations. There's about 20 organizations. If you go to freedom250.org, you will see just about all of the federal government. Here, let's just go there. You know, I'm here for you guys. Hey, you know what? Take them out around here. We're not, hey, with the flying monkeys kind of stuff, we're not doing that. Anybody in here with stripes, take them out. You know, you could have a different opinion, but you're gonna be respectful, and you don't have to listen, but I know you hear me. So when my stripes decide to take you out, you gotta go. Okay, we've got some. We're not going to Bizarro land. You know, you could be anywhere in the world, but you choose to come here. But you know, we're gonna be. I hate to say, boys and girls, crisscross applesauce. What do I need to go through there? So founding government members. Now here, let me read this to you guys. I want you to read this, okay? Because I'm thinking, okay, with all the pagan, the pan, and I talked about, and I'm thinking, America the Beautiful, amber waves of grain. I was thinking that's golden, and then I was thinking of the pan, and then pan is circenses. That's the Latin, for bread and circuses kind of, deal. So let's keep going. I think the Statue of Liberty is actually the new Colossus for the United States is what I think that is. New Colossus is by Emma Lazarus. I do believe I do believe that. Okay, so here we go. Let me let you guys know. Here are your founding government members of the freedom250.org. You've got the Department of Commerce, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Department of Justice, the U.S. Department of War, the Department of Education, the Institute of Museum and Library Services. You have the U.S. Department of Housing, Urban Development. You've got the Department of Health and Human Services, the EPA, the Department of Energy. You've got the Department of Labor, NASA, the Department of Interior, the National Endowment for the Arts, the SBA, the National Endowment for the Humanities, the Department of State, USDA, the Department of Treasury. You've got the Department of Veterans Affairs. This is a government, it says partner with freedom. Be part of history. So I'd love, this is definitely going to be, we're definitely going to keep an eye on this. To me, this is, and the fact that there are no dates for fall 2026, this is what this tells me. This is ritualistic stuff going on here. And, if you don't follow that, then, you might not be picking up what I'm putting down. And I'm not a decoder. That's another thing. Let's don't get that confused. I'm not a decoder, but I think there is, hello, Ball Striker Bandit 8978. Thank you for coming in. So when I think about, there's just a lot of this. Because of freedom250.org to me, it's a purple organization, which is government. It's nonpartisan. And it's got these 20 alphabet government agencies. To have all of that, this is unprecedented that we have something like this. The entire schedule, this is from Knox.news. what is it? Knox, it's knoxnews.com, okay? So you're going to have May 17th, you'll have a national prayer gathering on the National Mall. Memorial Day, it's like all of the holidays, just about all of these days. I'm not sure the significance of May 17th, but you have Memorial Day, you have a Spirit of America parade, you have Flag Day, it's June 14th. A UFC event is going to be at the White House. This is also Trump's birthday, okay? And then you go on to June 25th through July 10th. There's going to be something called the Great American State Fair, and it will be held on the National Mall. It's set to feature pavilions from all 50 states. And then you have Independence Day, July 4th, the celebration on the National Mall. The event will feature a spectacular flyover and address by Trump and a fireworks show. And then you have fall of 2026. It says it's the Patriot Games. Now, what they did say was that this was going to be a 4-day event, but they haven't said what actual day. They haven't said what actual day that these actual Patriot Days are going to take place. And that is where I come in. Not because I'm a decoder, I'm a gematria person. I'm not. I just said there's a story here. And I've got this golden age metaphor is, to me, it's almost like there's something else. There's a dark something in here. And to me, there's a purge also. I think in here, because we can't talk about Susan Collins and not talk about that Panem, that fictional city that came about when the U.S. allegedly fell due to, what they say, natural disasters and massive global war. So I'm just saying there's a lot going on here, and it's and it makes me think about. I talk about the ancient Rome 2.0, and it feels like Caesar to me, or it feels like it just feels like that to me. Let's see. Let's back it up here. Let's say hi to everybody. Derek C. Williams says the Olympic opening and closing ceremonies definitely honor the devil. There you go. What was it, the program that they had not too long ago? Was it the Birmingham Games not too long ago where they had that huge bull? We're going to see a lot of symbolism. We're going to see a lot of symbolism because the classics do influence our lives, whether we like it or not. And in places in Europe, it's dripping. But we look at Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is dripping with a lot of those of symbolism and tradition as well from Rome that was inspired, the Greco-Roman, the architecture. Many people that I've been to the Capitol quite a few times. The Rotunda areas, all of these places. To me, a lot of DC, a lot of the Capitol also reminds me of the Vatican. Because I've been to the Vatican and the architecture there. People don't really ask questions about, like, when we think about what the things that I've seen at the Vatican, it's like, it just makes you wonder what human beings could actually build this style of architecture. Are you going to tell me that that's pure architecture is geometry? Who has the know-how or the wherewithal to get that? Who does? I'm just telling you, everything from the cathedrals, Sistine Chapels, all of that. What is that obelisk that's on this? Is it the Washington, is it the monument or the mall? Whichever the one that the obelisk is. But in earlier times, what is it? Where did they get that from? Let me back it up a little bit. King. Thank you so much, Derek C. Williams. Hey, here, let me just go ahead and say this. And do I need to establish this? I'm going to tell you guys what I'm not going to. The flying monkeys, I'm not going to tolerate disrespect. I'm not going to tolerate people referring to me as Lady Candace Owens. You're not going to do that in here. You can do all things, but those things you're not going to do. If you're disrespectful, you got to go. No questions asked. No questions asked. So I've already had a few flying monkeys in here already. Let's see, King T5245 sounds like Hunger Games or Battle Royale. Uh, well, I'm just saying, you just think it, with the way that the economy is, but what is the ultimate? I just don't think a rite of passage is strong enough for for the American, for Gen Z, young American male or young American female. Okay. And some of these people, that whether you want to call them the left dialectic, oh well, he's just getting his digs into the LGBT, that community. He's just getting into the alphabet community and blah 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 blah. I don't think so. Let's just keep going here, because I'm just thinking with the way things are going. We have a lot of students out here. Like, what kind of future do we does Gen Z have right now? If we're just being real, okay. Let's back it up. It says My Way X. This person has definitely got to go. Yeah, I don't know what Bizarro Land. That's disrespectful too. Let's see. Derek C. Williams says a good documentary on esoteric beginnings of our country is called A Lamp PM in the Dark. And Derek C. Williams, I'm here to make index cards great again. I'm going to write that title down. Thank you guys so much for coming. I really appreciate it. See, I don't need to get another college degree. I get a real education right here from you guys. So I'm going to write this one down. Thank you for sharing that, Derek C. Williams. And everybody that has a channel out here. And thank you guys for loving on the like button. We really appreciate that around here. If you guys can love on the like button, it really gives back. It really gives the channel a boost. Because I've said this before. YouTube, my channel is not going to reach the masses. It's not going to, and I'm not complaining. I'm not whining about it. I'm just saying realistically, this channel will not reach the masses. It won't. I want to thank all of you guys that have supported us, because the channel has gotten above 1,300, subscribers. I will, and welcome new subscribers. I'm going to have to do a big shout out to you guys in this season as well, because, you guys are responsible for where we are. Thank you, Derek C. Williams. So yeah, we've got some no nonsense. We're not doing the games. Fine weather, it says, or wide Roman roads for marching, apparently. But I just find that it's interesting that we've got so much in the mix. And what I mean by that is that we've got QRF trainings that are supposed to be done by January 1, yet we have a lighting of the Washington Monument that occurs on December 31st, 2025. And then we're going into the fall, which I think is it's almost like we're tipping our hat to some type of good harvest / like are we saying goodbye to the former, U.S., to the former, to the collapsed U.S. I'm just saying there's a lot of symbolism here. So hang on one second. I appreciate you guys so much for coming in. And thank you guys for those of you that have loved on the like button. And also for those of you that end up watching in replay, if you get a chance to if you have something you want to add in the comment section about where you think we're going with this, what do you think is behind this golden age type metaphor? And some people are, already are saying no, they don't, they're saying due to the Fox News polls and, what is it, Kevin Hassett. There's a few people's names that are out there for in the running for the Fed chair position. So I guess maybe we're going to see that change. We'll have to see. But I do find it interesting that we have a government-backed movement called the freedom250.org. And I don't even know if they don't have a choice. I mean, this wasn't a voluntary situation. They say it's nonpartisan on that. Ooh, Derek C. Williams. That's right. I agree. Derek C. Williams says that the monument is phallic in nature. Yeah, hey, to me, some of this is looking, like the architecture, it looks, it's a little, dare I say, can we say that that's Egyptian a little bit? Just, there's a lot going on. It's almost like, is DC gonna somehow, or is the real story gonna come out, or is it gonna be a place? Um, are we unleashing something here? A lot going on here without a doubt. Let's see. Let me say hi to a few people that have come in. So if you've come in, I really appreciate it. I don't know what some of the architecture there, I have not really looked into it, but some of it looks, I don't know if it's Egyptian, right? Maybe Cleopatra, the sun gods, Ra, Egyptomania, those founding fathers. I do believe that Trump he's going to be labeled as a founding father, but it is not going to be what you think it is. Okay, Eldorado 1244, the clown show is over for you. Fine Weather says, I'm feeling like history is extremely dubious. I'll put it like that. Yeah, well, I can't disagree with you. It's something. I think something is about to be revealed. Fred Chambers 7030. Thank you so much for coming in and for all that you do to support the channel. He says, please respect the channel. I appreciate it. Thank you, Simone Watchman. Great. Yeah. I always want you guys to be empowered. I'm all about people expressing themselves, but don't attack me. And I hate to say it, don't get it mad at me because I can see something, just because I can see something. And I'm looking at things from a lot of different lenses. Now, for those of you that are new to this channel, if you go back in the archives, some people, I think that the algorithm does not give me the hits because they can't label me they could never really label me as full-on conservative channel back in the day when I first started. They can't label me as a leftist. They can't label me as a progressive. So, it gets, it puts them at a disadvantage. And they don't like what I'm saying for the most part. They don't. So yeah, but I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in and for loving on the like button. King T5245 says brace for impact. Yeah, I do believe 2026 is going to be more than revealing. Okay. I think you're getting the prelude to it right now. You're getting the thesis. Okay. I think you got the thesis for 2026 already. So just be ready. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Patrick Bateman 6669. Negative. No, we won't. No, we won't. No, we don't. We will not do that. So yeah, I just wanted to share those pieces with you guys, but we're definitely I'm gonna continue. This is gonna be an echo chamber, I will say, because this is not quite over. Okay, it's not. We don't have the dates for we don't have the dates. But see, also let me give you this. It says for Apollo, the major games were the Pythian Games at Delphi, athletics/music, quadrennial around late summer, early fall. And then you had other months, the Roman Ludi Apollinaris, July, and various annual Greek festivals like Athens. That is Panepsia. In the autumn, harvest beans. This is while the Pythian Games were major, many local festivals honoring Apollo happened in autumn, featuring music, sacrifices. This is the darkness that I'm telling you guys about. And communal feast, marking harvest and cycles. but it was not like the summer games. It was opposite of the summer games. That's Olympics, the Olympics. Let's see. Let me back it up here. He says, "Thank you guys so much." Ball Striker Bandit 8978 says, "It kind of depends on whether you look at the zeitgeist of the country through a biblical lens or not. Many people don't. King T 5245 says it's going to be Shakespearean, and John Roberts says maybe a revelation. And let's see, Mamu Salem 6724 says shout out from Egypt. Wow, we have somebody from Egypt here. Thank you for coming in, and I appreciate you guys so much for coming in. So yeah, all of this is very I just all this stuff is screaming a whole lot of this is like a whole lot of things are going off. Conspiracy Queen, how are you? Good morning to you. I really appreciate it. So yeah, we're just chatting it up here on we're going to keep an eye on this 4-day event that's going to be in the fall of 2026. And I would love to know, short of the rite of passage, what does the winner, the male and the female, get out of this particular Patriot Games, short of the rite of passage? Okay, I don't think that's enough for that's really not. I appreciate it so much, Conspiracy Queen. Thank you so much. And thank you guys, all of you, for hitting that like button. So I'm thinking it's like there's a purge in 2026. And I do think that those Patriot Games will be like a capstone. I think it's going to be a capstone. Conspiracy Queen says, feel good. That's about, yeah. I really appreciate it. So OPPK from 63rd, thank you so much for coming in. Oh, let me just say this. So, okay, one other thing. Now, I did tune in. I told you guys I might tune in to some more of the Turning Point USA show. And because what is it that they have? The Club America. Like, it looks like, a lot of that they've gotten some pushback on that. But I saw Officer Tatum's presentation or whatnot, and he's still getting He's still getting the business from his support for Israel, for the lack of a better. I'm gonna leave that there, but I did talk about that a little bit at the beginning. So he said something. It's kind of like he's doing this whole political juxtaposition where he talked about. That they thought that, once they took Mr. Kirk out, that they could kill the body, but they can't kill the legacy. And then he follows it up talking about they tried to kill Jesus. And then, if they killed him, that it would end, why would you do that? Why would you do that? And that's what I'm saying. That's why these shows I cannot watch. I watched it just to see what was going to go on there. Either one or two things going to happen. Either somebody was going to go in there and start misquoting scripture, or they were going to go in there and start doing their blasphemous stuff that they do. And they do it every time they get a chance. I've seen it. They do it every single time. You're like, there's no way you're still putting this guy up here like that. There's just no way. But yes, that's what it is. That's what it's all about. So I tagged into that. And then on the global aspect, let me just let you guys know. On a global aspect, you guys, we talk about Klaus Schwab every now. Well, it turns out, looks like Schwab was ended up having to resign. He ended up getting audited. And then I've told you guys that, of course, they've got a new CEO, a person in charge. But it looks like Schwab was not quite managing his power or the benefits properly, and looks like he was facing a fiduciary kind of audit or probe after some whistleblowers kind of stepped up and said, he's his wife and him are doing a little bit of lavish things that are not quite authorized. So that's interesting to know that because Schwab has such a huge impact on the World Economic Forum, and he put that whole he put that whole, you'll own nothing and be happy out there for the world to see, only for him to come down, for him to fall from that particular position. I don't know. Am I saying there's hope for the world to turn things around and not let that be the case? I don't know. So let's see. We've got some worse than we've got some worse than some clowns in here. Worse than flying monkeys. Let's see. Here we go. Tobira Lucias, Albania. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I'll say King T5245. I'm good on off potatoes. I don't like the racial back and forth. Yeah, well, I'm not really here. That's not my domain, is to get into the Tatumisms, but where to me they just keep going out on a limb, and they don't realize it. I don't know whether they realize it, or because it's politically expedient for them to continue, kind of glazing people and putting, God on the front of it. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And then I will talk about, like I said, I don't really, this is not his platform. This is not, I'm not here for him, or to try to convey or try to speak for him, or lift him up, or to pull him down. But I'm saying that whole Turning Point USA, that was an event for the world to see. And I started talking about it, and I did happen to see him. So I'm going to opine on, whenever I think people are doing blasphemous commentary, I will point that out. Yes, I will. And it doesn't matter what your background is. You can still, that's the world that we live in. Okay. Watchman says the clowns are on vacation. See. I gotcha. Well, I just want to let you guys know I appreciate you guys for coming in and burning a whopping 37 minutes. I know we started out with this whole Patriots game / Hunger Games thing, but that's going to be one to watch, and you will have an echo chamber here on that. And as soon as we get some dates, we'll do even more. We may do even more. So just want to thank everybody else that was able to come in last night as well. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I do think it's going to be revealing, and I do think that 2026 is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. So thank you guys for loving on the like button. Let's see, let me back it up and say hi to everybody, and then we're going to get out of here and get you guys on your way. Let's see, we have John Roberts. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm not sure who this YouTube Stabworthy was, but maybe he needed some time himself or herself. Audrey 223 P5W. Thank you guys for loving on the like button. I really appreciate it. Emilme 4397. Your most generous. Thank you. Heedy or Hetty 5K. Thank you for coming in. Derek C. Williams, of course. I really appreciate you for coming in. Fine Weather. Thank you so much. Let's see. We had a lot of people in. You guys, feel free to drop your links. If you are a content creator, feel free to drop your links at any time. Fred Chambers, 7030. Thank you so much. King T5245. Ball Striker Bandit. Ball Striker Bandito. 8978. What else? What else is it? TWC Myers 4160. Yeah, we had a lot of interesting. So we had Mahmoud Salam for 6724 from Egypt. Patrick Bateman 6669. Conspiracy Queen, I appreciate it so much. Tabira Lucias from Albania. Thank you for coming in. I really appreciate you guys. All right, guys, I appreciate it so much. If I come back, I will, it'll be a more structured show, but I just want to give you a little bit more on just some reflection, more reflection on we're looking at, what I think we're looking at in terms of these Patriot games, as well as, that the Turning Point USA show, and the Dog and Pony shows, and all of that, and yeah, and which I've said my piece on that. That's pretty much bringing you guys back to the left right paradigm. And what else did we get out of that? Oh, we got an endorsement for JD Vance for to be 48. We got that. And thank you so much, Simone Watchman. And you guys have a great rest of the day. And thank you guys so much for loving on the like button. All right, guys. Bye for now.